Your goalkeeper David Raya has made a couple of good saves, but at half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it is Arsenal 1, City 0. Well, let's go back to the studio where we can hear the thoughts of John Hartson, Paul Dickov and Natalie.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. So City trailing 1-0 at the break against Arsenal. I'm still joined in the studio by Paul Dickov and by John Hartson. I went to the toilet straight after the show ended and missed the first 5 minutes. I should know better by now, Paul, because I did the same. Well, we were walking over for the women's game as well. I have seen the replays, though, on the City goal. A frustrating way to start the game, given it is so similar to the way that we started against Chelsea.
It was like carbon copy for the women's game to the men's game. We were saying just before the game started that the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, be safe, don't make any mistakes, try and keep the crowd quiet, and then the exact opposite, you know, and try to play it from the back. Kanji's slightly unlucky the way it bobbles up off of him, and you've got to give Arsenal credit, they're on the front foot, as we knew they would be straight off. I thought Kai Havertz actually done really well because he could have shot himself, but the best option was to give it to Odegaard, and before you know it, what was it, not even a couple of minutes in, 1-0 down, giving ourselves a mountain to climb again.
It was a gift that we gave to Arsenal in the opening minute there, John.
Well, it was. I think the two big mistakes that City have made was the two defensive errors, really. That's given Arsenal opportunities. Obviously, it was a great bit of vision from Havertz in the first goal. You know, he sees himself one-on-one, but great vision. He sees Odegaard just inside there, and he plays it perfectly, weight pass. Odegaard's not going to make any mistake from there. And then obviously another defensive mistake. Havertz had a chance to put Arsenal 2-0 up. He missed it. Crime was there for me, not hitting the target. He puts it wide. It had been not a long way back. That would have made Arsenal a bit more comfortable if that had gone in. But I think in the last 5-10 minutes, Raya has actually been Arsenal's best player. You know, he's made several decent saves. One from a Guardiola header, where it's an instinctive save. Comes off the bar, Haaland's almost waiting to head it in.
Could have went anywhere, yeah.
And one or two there, Silvinho, the deflection gets down on his right-hand side. But City slowly just, you know, keeping the ball a little bit better, you know, putting Arsenal under pressure. And the last 5 or 6 minutes, I think Man City a bit unlucky not to have got the goal back.
Yeah, certainly. The game started off really fast, then kind of went into a bit of a lull in the middle of that half, and then City certainly started to come alive more towards the end of the half, Paul, to at least give us some hope on what we might be able to do in the second half. Yeah,
I was like, apart from the two mistakes John just talking about trying to play out, I believe City were the better team.
A lot more possession.
A lot more possession. When, you know, saying there was a little bit of a lull, I think that suited City a lot more than Arsenal. Arsenal wanted to have a high tempo, they wanted to press and press and press, and City just took the sting out of the game, slowly but surely. Started getting up the pitch, started keeping the ball, started getting Omar Mamouche in the ball, Sabinho as well, who's looked really, really good. Creating chances, you know, talk about Arsenal set pieces, City have looked really dangerous from there. The delivery from Mamouche has been fantastic. Guardiola so unlucky, it was a great save from there. Oh, you know, and as the ball's near and it's coming down, you're expecting Nerling just to tap it in. Unfortunately, it's hit the bar.
It was a brilliant save. It's almost an instinctive save from Raya. But first of all, I think the header from Guardiola's going in, and it's the push onto the bar from Raya which prevents that.
Yeah, that was the chance there in the 23rd minute. As you mentioned, the Marmouche corner there, the delivery. He absolutely whipped that in.
I know, I think he was the top or near the top in the Bundesliga for assists as well as goals, wasn't he? This season. So you can see the deliveries there if you get him on the ball. And we've not quite found them yet, but there's been 2 or 3 times, like I was saying about the Chelsea game, where he's made really, really intelligent runs in between the full-back and between the centre half. So much more that Timber's having to tuck in and making the back four really narrow, and City have got the ball, and it's Martinelli who's ended up being in the full-back position. So, you know, if we can get the ball out to Silvinho, Martinelli's a fantastic player, but defensively, I'm not quite too sure about them. So if we can get Silvinho running one-on-one at him, but yeah, it's been a good performance, you know, and not many teams go to the Emirates and dominate the ball and dominate the game, and slightly unlucky to come in at 1-0 down.
Yeah, 62% possession City had in that first half.
As Paul said there, you know, City haven't created an awful lot other than the last 3 or 4 minutes. Silvino's really clever. When the last cross came in, he's almost anticipating that the header's going to go to him, so he just drops back a little bit and then he gets the attempt on goal. But the Man City haven't done an awful lot wrong. They've not created an awful lot. Haaland's been pretty quiet to his own high standards, if you like. Foden is just starting to get into the game, running at the Arsenal defence. And look what you've got. You've still got De Bruyne. You know, you've got other players that can come on and obviously change the game, of course.
Yeah, Marmoush has actually still got the highest number of assists in the Bundesliga, and he's moved to us now, obviously, on 9. He also had the second most goal contributions in Europe's top 5 leagues, behind Mohamed Salah for goals and assists as well. And we're certainly starting to see a glimmer as well of what he can do. And when he settles in and we get to know him more, because there was a couple of occasions where you said, while we were watching, Paul, about some runs that he'd made again.
And it's as if he's demanding the ball as well, but that'll come. Johnny spoke rightly before the game about partnerships and knowing what your teammate's going to be doing. And the more they trains and the more he plays, he'll get in there. And I'm sure it's something they're talking about half-time, because there was 2 or 3 times, I've said it already, in that first half where he's made a great little run down the side of Saliba, and Timber didn't know whether to come in or not, and he was free, but we just didn't quite see it or have that connection yet. But that'll come as they're doing it. And you know, I think the midfield area I was slightly worried about. I think we've looked as if we've dominated in there. You know, Kovacic has been fantastic. Bernardo Silva's all over the place. It's causing them quite a number of problems, because Phil's drifting in there, Marmoush is drifting in there, and we're actually outnumbering them in the middle of the park, which is making them go really narrow and allowing us to get the ball out to their right boys.
Yeah, Kovacic has had a few moments as well where he's done the pinging the long balls as well, that I always am so impressed by him as well. You mentioned Erling Haaland there, having a quiet game. He actually only had 4 touches in that first half, and I know people often get obsessed with the amount of touches that Erling Haaland has in a game. Of course, we know his job is to score goals, which he does by a plentiful. But why do you think he's having such a quiet game with his touches in that first half?
Well, I think he's making himself available, and then sometimes you've got an Arsenal player, maybe a Partey or a Rice, they'll intercept. They'll obviously get themselves in a position, so City can't quite play into his feet. But what I like about him, you know, I don't mind having not a lot of touches, but the touches you do have are good ones and important ones. There's been once or twice where he's stood big and he's played it back to an oncoming midfield player. He's always trying to get on the shoulder of a defender. And I actually think the Arsenal defence have really played him very well, because there's a few balls come into the box and the Arsenal defence, they're almost putting their body in the way and not allowing Haaland to bully them, if you like, and they're making themselves big and strong. And then Haaland, I think he's given a foul away once because he just showed he's maybe a little bit too eager to get in. But I think what he's done is, all right, he's had 4 touches, he's not been in the game an awful lot. But I don't think you can discard players like Haaland out, you know, because he can score. It takes a second to score a goal. But the one thing about him, he's always lively, he's always looking to get on defenders' shoulders. So sometimes, although he's only had 4 touches, he's still very much in the game.
He's affecting the game.
He's affecting the game, Paul, absolutely.
You know, and he is literally taking 2 centre-halves out of the game as well, which at some point will allow space for other players. And, you know, the Partey and Declan Rice are shielding in front of him to try and stop them threading the ball in there. So, but I think the most important thing about people getting obsessed with Erling Haaland and his touches is that it doesn't bother him. He'll quite happily have 2 touches in a game, but he'll know he'll get a chance. Yeah. And at some point, he's so switched on mentally that a lot of people, I mean, I'll go mad if I had 4 touches in a game.
That's right. Well, normally he has 4 touches and scores 2 goals.
Yeah. You know,
that's not quite happening for him today.
Well, I'll take 5 touches if he gets a goal for the whole game, indeed. Yeah. In terms of the second half, Paul, what do you imagine the conversations are currently like that Pep Guardiola's having with the team?
I think Pep will be fairly happy with the performance. You know, as I said before, there's not many. Arsenal are a top team. There's not many teams that go to the Emirates and dominate the ball and dominate the game. Maybe create a few more chances, but in saying that, the 2 best chances created without mistakes have been the ones that City have done as well. So we'll probably be saying more of the same, but I don't want to say it, because I said it in the women's game before the game and at half-time, and I said it before this game, is the first 5-10 minutes are so important, you know, that you're really secure. Because the last thing you want to do is go out in the second half after having the momentum at the end of the first half and give away another cheap goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am not going anywhere to get a drink, to do anything. I'm staying firmly in my seat at the start of the second half. Now, it's been a big weekend of football for Manchester City. Of course, we're having the double header today. The women beaten earlier 4-3 by Arsenal. But yesterday, the under-18s had an incredible game against Manchester United. They won 4-0 to take them top of the league. They are now 4 points clear of United. We can see some of the goals now from the under-18s. Oh, we love a derby victory, whether it's any age level, under 10s, all the way up, anybody playing them. We love a good derby victory, don't we, Dickie?
We do that, but outstanding. And I know we've said it before, I'm just sort of trying to say to Johnny there that the 18s, or whether it's the 16s or the 21s or the EDS, they all play like the first team. You know, and you watch the goals that they do score, they're very similar, as if it could be out there at the Etihad, but there's so much talent. I know we keep saying it, the conveyor belt that's been coming through the last few years, but the 16s, the 18s and the EDS squad now, that's just littered with top class young players.
And notice Heskey scoring again as well.
Yeah, well, it's important for these under-18s kids to make an impact when they get a chance. I'm sure Pep is getting all the stats and, you know, all what's happening with the engagement of them trying to get in, play in the higher, play at the first team. Try to get maybe one or two of them to join in with the first team, see if they can cope with it. And I always think it's excellent for a football club to unearth some of the younger ones who are coming through. It's very difficult at top clubs like City, like Arsenal, like Chelsea, like, you know, Liverpool, because you've got so much quality to compete with. So it's harder sometimes to break through with teams that are a little bit lower down, because you've got to be exceptional to get in the Man City first team. But hopefully they'll be getting a chance, and I'm sure Pep, if they're good enough, you know, they're old enough. That's the famous saying.
Absolutely. And one of the main points to tell you from yesterday's game as well is that Manchester United, previous to yesterday's game, had only conceded 4 goals in the entire season. And then City put 4 past them yesterday. So, I mean, that in itself, Paul, that's a serious boost of confidence for the rest of the season for the under-18s to get that title.
You could see what it meant to them when they were scoring the goals there. You know, the passion and the excitement in their faces as well. It's great for them. Look, they're playing at a top club, and Johnny's right. You've got to be exceptional to get to the level of the first team. But these kids are exceptional at the level they're at the minute. You know, and you just really want them to go and kick on now.
Absolutely.
So huge congratulations there to the under-18s, doing us proud there in the derby victory yesterday. So, of course, we are now out of January, which was the longest month in history, but the transfer window is still open. There's about another 24 hours or so of the transfer window. But in terms of, the 3rd of February, so tomorrow night, the transfer window closes. And obviously it's been a really exciting January transfer window for the men and for the women. Some incredible signings being made in this month. Now, a little birdie tells me, John, that your first 4 transfers all took place in January. Did you know that? Well, of course you did, because you were involved in them.
I either had to try and help a team go further up, or I was generally more helping them avoid relegation. So, you know, people say it's not a great month to buy. I actually disagree with that, because it can make a big difference to a team if you go and get the right type of player. Because some of these teams are wanting to get into Europe, so that in 7th, 8th position they can make a difference, can push them up to them top 5, 6 places. And also, a lot of teams are fighting relegation. And by making a really important season sort of impact on a signing, then they can push you up the league. So I think there'll be a lot more movement in the next 24 hours, because a lot of clubs are anxious and they want to get that right player in. So I don't think it's a bad window, January, which is contrary to what a lot of other people think.
What's it like when you move in the middle of a season, Paul? Because you don't get that. Oh, they're coming out. Quickly tell us. You don't get that opportunity to settle in.
You don't, but you just... It's hard to explain. You're used to it, aren't you? You know, when you join another club, you know it's part, but you don't know any different for a start. And 9 times, especially when me and Johnny were playing, we actually really didn't have an option. If the manager told you you were going somewhere, you went, and that was it. You know, you didn't have time to think about it, and it can change so quickly. I think as when I signed here, I was on my way down to Southampton to sign for Graham Souness on the Thursday, and then by the Friday morning I was a Man City player, so it can change. It can change so quickly.
I never knew that. Was that the first or the second time?
The first time.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I was scared.
Our benefit.
Yeah. I did want to speak to Graham Souness for a long time
Southampton's
afterwards.
loss was City's gain.
Very much City's gain. Thank you. Do you know what? We'll pick this up again at full time if we get a chance, although we might be talking about like 5 City goals, so we might not have time. Fingers crossed. There we go, the City team coming back out onto the pitch there. City well and truly still in this game, Blues. Keep the faith, keep the positivity, get yourself onto the Manchester City app if you're not on there. Alistair Mann and Michael Brown will give you second half commentary, and the three of us will be here at full time. Oh, come on, hopefully talking about at least 1-2 goals in the second half for City. We'll see you then.
Yeah, welcome back to the Emirates. It was looking good the last 15-20 minutes of the first half. City in control. David Raya, the busy goalkeeper. Arsenal's 2 biggest chances coming from City errors playing out from the back rather than any inventive Arsenal attacking play. And the only booking so far is for Timber, and Savinho